Ito ang inyong lingkod na nagbabalik upang magbigay ng mga balitang walang bias at pawang katotohanan lamang. Ito ang Bayang Pinas. Ngunit bagong lahat, kung bago ka pa lamang sa ating channel ay syempre huwag mong kakalimutan na mag-subscribe muna, pindutin ang notification bell at piliin ang all upang lagi kang maging updated sa ating mga bagong videos na ina-upload araw-araw. At syempre, maraming salamat na rin po sa ating mga solid viewers sa walang sawang pagsuporta. Huwag na huwag rin din pong kakalimutang mag-iwan ng like at i-share ang ating mga videos upang maging aware din ng ibang tao sa kung anong nangyayari sa ating bansa. At kung mayroon ka naman pong opinion or di kaya hinaing, ang ating comment section po ay bukas para sa inyong mga saloobin. Laging tandaan, bilang residente ng bansang Pilipinas, ang ating opinion ay dapat marinig at mapakinggan. Ito na nga mga kaibigan, atin nang panoorin ang kabuuan ng video.
The report that from 2020 to 2024, 47% of all posts were unfilled. So can you please enlighten us how we are introducing an increase in the personal service when there remains 47% of our plantilla which are still unfilled? That is from 2020 to 2024, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for the question, Congressman Luistro. Your Honor, yung mga unfilled positions, mula na since yung office, ay talagang sinasadyang hindi namin mafilapan dahil pinag-aralan ko pa mula noon ano yung nagiging cause ng inordinate delay. Which is been a problem, a recurring problem. So bago ako mag-hire ng additional lawyers, pinag-aralan ko muna saan ang problema. So this year, I have decided to merge two important groups, the fact-finding investigation group and the preliminary investigation group. We will be hiring additional lawyers. We will be creating satellite offices in each of the provinces throughout the Philippines. We will be hiring additional lawyers for each of the sectoral offices para po ang magre-represent sa ombudsman sa mga cases before the regional trial courts or the municipal trial courts will no longer be the Department of Justice but the lawyers of the Office of the Ombudsman. So this year, I promise you na once naayos ko yung plantilla namin, which is already in the making before the end of the year, matatapos na, sisiguruhin ko po sa inyo na there will be additional lawyers in the Office of the Ombudsman. Investigation of cases will be speed up. Pabilisan po namin investigasyon ng mga kaso. And I have proven that na madali lang naman pala. Pwede pala kami mag-imbestiga ng cases nang walang isang taon tapos kami sa investigasyon. So with this, pagpasensyahan lang po ninyo, yung mga unfilled positions ay sinisiguro ko po sa inyo mafe-fill up na po yan. But if there are unfilled positions tungkol sa mga administrative personnel, maaaring alisin ko na po yon. Kasi hindi po kailangan ng ombudsman yung mga non-lawyers. Mas kailangan po ng Office of the Ombudsman mga abogado. At mas kailangan po ng Office of the Ombudsman yung IT. Problema po namin sa Office of the Ombudsman ay yung aming IT. Itong taon po nito, na-discover namin na na-hack yung aming system. Yung mga may kaso pala sa amin, kaya pala alam nila kung nasaan ang kanilang mga kaso, kasi 3 tao pala ang nakatingin sa aming firewall. So, because of that, 2 of our personnel from the Management Information System are on preventive suspension because of this. Hindi ho biro na alam po ng respondent na ginagawa pa lang yung desisyon ay may nakakakita na. So there was a time when I advised the lawyers not to use the internet of the Office of the Ombudsman. Marami po kayong problema, but doon sa unfilled position, sinisiguro ko po sa inyo, Your Honor, na within the year, we'll be hiring additional lawyers for the Office of the Ombudsman. Marami pong salamat.
Justice, ilan po ngayon ang abogado ng Ombudsman?
Hindi ko po masyadong maano ang bilang, but nung araw po kasi may mga bureaus na kukunti po ang abogado, ayaw ng director mag-hire. But right now, according to this data given to me, there are about a total of 353 lawyers, all in all, from the central office to the sectoral offices. So, dadagdagan po namin ito ng another about 400 to 500 lawyers.
Ngayong taon pong ito.
Ngayong taon pong ito. And we're now starting to hire additional lawyers for the sectoral offices. Kasi hindi ko alam kung dapat kong sabihin ito. Iba-iba pa po sa yung numero ng abogado ng bawat sektor. I mean, the Ombudsman for the Visayas has a different number of personnel sa Ombudsman ng Mindanao, sa Ombudsman ng Luzon, o sa Ombudsman ng Muleo. Ang nangyari po noon ay nagpalakasan sa Ombudsman. Pag malakas ka sa Ombudsman at sinabi mo, ma'am, mag-hire ako ng additional lawyer, at sinabing okay, mag-hire ka ng additional lawyer. Isa pang problema sa Office of the Ombudsman ay yung wala naman term yung opisyal, pero mayroon siyang coterminous na item. Dapat ang mayroon ng coterminous employee ay yung may mga term. The Ombudsman, the Overall Deputy Ombudsman, and the Deputy Ombudsman. Dito po, pati Director, mayroong coterminous employee. Kasi nung nakaraan po, palakasan nga. Isa ngayon, nagmukhang kontrabida ako sa Ombudsman, especially with the merger of two offices. Na ang sabi ko sa kanila, jokingly, whether you like it or don't, tutuloy ko yung merger. But I am serious. Those who will not abide by this, kung ayaw ninyo magtrabaho sa Office of the Ombudsman, they can all tender the resignations and transfer to other offices. I mean it because lagi kaming pinupuna, hindi lamang ng judiciary, but by the public, na ang bagal daw ng investigasyon ng kaso. So ngayon, bibilisan namin ang investigasyon ng kaso, pipilitin namin na ang kaso ay matapos ang investigasyon within a period of at least 2 years in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court in one case. And incidentally, Your Honor, before I go further, yung pong kaso ni Parladi that was filed in 2022, which is 006, ay na-dismiss na po. Another case against Badoy, which was filed also in 2022, which is 008, is still ongoing investigation. The other cases pending against Parlade and other employees ng PCOO ay na-file po ito noong pang 2005. I will check on this and there's still ongoing investigation. That's why I'd like Your Honor to request the Honorable Congressman Manuel to give us a copy, a list of this. And before the end of the day, I will give you the status of these cases. Marami pong salamat.
Mr. Chair, let me just express my appreciation to all the pronouncements of our Honorable Ombudsman, most especially the combination of the fact-finding and the preliminary investigation into one office. Let me express also the appreciation of this representation to the attention he has accorded to the integrity of decisions and resolutions before they are released by the Office of the Ombudsman. Moving forward, Mr. Chair, it appears from the report that there are unused appropriations. For 2020, it's 615.1 million. For 2021, it's 518.3 million. And for 2022, it's 526.7 million. may we ask what seemed to be the challenge of the Ombudsman on these unutilized amounts which could have been utilized in the other needs and concerns of our country? Mr. Chair.
Before the Ombudsman answers this, I'd like to acknowledge and recognize our Senior Deputy Speaker, Don Gonzales.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I understand that 2020 to 2022 pertains to the period of time where Ombudsman Martires is not yet in office. So may I just ask about the fiscal year 2023, whether the Ombudsman is on track in terms of utilization? Mr. Chair.
The Office of the Ombudsman on the unused appropriations, these are actually, they remain valid obligations until fully spent. The previous year's appropriations taken up as continuing appropriations are earmarked for other expenses, like prior year's obligation of wages increase for security and janitorial services. Aaminin ko po sa inyo nang tawag po sa akin ng COA, ako po ay isang waray-waray ng ugali Ilocano. So if you've noticed that two of our Deputy Ombudsman, one from the Visayas and one in Mindanao, are absent, because I told them, wag na silang pumunta, sayang yung pamasahe. Pambigay na nito ng bonus sa Pasko sa mga empleyado, pandagdag bonus. So, kung hindi po kami magtitipid, hindi po kami magkakaroon ng savings. And right now, I am trying to save more because of our plan to buy more hardware para sa aming IT, and which the software will be provided by a foreign country. Pero siyempre, yung hardware at sa pamasahin ng mga pupunta sa Pilipinas, sasagutin ng Office of the Ombudsman. Marami pong salamat.
That is well understood, Mr. Chair. But perhaps we can include in the 2024 budget of Ombudsman the needs of the office, as Ombudsman Martires already manifested before us. For the conviction rate, Mr. Chair, 2020, it is 61.2%. 2021, it is 42.7%. And 2022, it is 26.5%. With all due respect to our dear Ombudsman, although this represents the period where he is not yet appointed as such, can we explain that this decreasing rate of conviction of the Office of the Ombudsman?
Right now, Your Honors, mayroon kaming problema that Congress itself created for us. And this is the amended jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan. Doon po sa batas na yon, sa bagong jurisdiction ng Sandigan Bayan, there are cases na hindi na ipa-file sa Sandigan Bayan but will be filed with the lower courts. Ang nakasama pa roon sa batas na yon, sinasabi it should be filed in the adjacent judicial region where the accused, where the public officer is a resident. So if you are a resident of Naga City, that is Region 5, the case must either be filed before Region 4 or before Region 8. These are the adjacent regions to Region 5. Ang problema namin ngayon, pag final mo yung kaso sa executive judge ng Region 8, i-dismiss ng executive judge because there are no guidelines issued by the Supreme Court. Wala hong guidelines. So sa ngayon po, marami pong nakabinbin sa aming mga kaso, hindi namin alam saan ipa-file. Kami po ay at a loss. And that is why one of these days we will be recommending to Congress to amend this law. Ibalik na lang natin sa dating jurisdiction ng Sandigan Bayan ng filing ng cases. Instead of pretending to say that if the public officer is from Region 5, let the case be filed in the adjacent region. Pareho din naman ho ang resulta noon na i-file mo sa Region 5. Number 2, on the rate of conviction, this is one aspect of our work where we are rated. Our performance is rated. Also by the international community, and which is unfair to us, na ang aming performance is based on the conviction rate. Hindi po kami ang husgado. Iba po ang pananaw namin insofar as we are concerned, there is probable cause for the filing of the information. Pero ang husgado po, ibang pananaw. Remember that no two, just as no two individuals are the same, even twins, wala hong abogado na pare-pareho ang pag-iisip. May mga abogado na taliwas ang pag-iisip sa katotohanan, may mga abogado na tamang pag-iisip. So kung nagkataon na yung huwes o 3 justices ng Sandigan Bayan, ang isa ay taliwas ang pag-iisip at sinasabing acquittal, abay ma-acquit nga. So our performance should not be based really on the conviction rate. That is unfair to the Office of the Ombudsman. It's just like also rating the Department of Justice on the number of cases where they secure conviction. Because after the Sandigan Bayan, after the regional trial courts, the accused has the right to appeal to the Court of Appeals and to the Supreme Court. E paano pagdating din ng Supreme Court na acquit yung akusado? This is our problem actually. In the Transparency International, I confronted them about this also for rating us on the basis of conviction. Marami pong salamat, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, the manifestation of the Ombudsman is well understood. We just hope that at least with respect to the number of cases being filed by the Ombudsman with the Sandigan and the regular courts, there is an increasing rate. And it is acknowledged that the quantum of evidence being required by the Office of the Ombudsman vis-a-vis the Sandigan Bayan and the regular courts are different. And with respect to the major programs, Mr. Chair, can you please draw the line between and among investigation, enforcement, prevention, and public assistance? I hope we can be enlightened by way of illustration and examples how we delineate these 4 major programs of the Office of the Ombudsman.
On the matter, Your Honor, of the function of the Ombudsman to provide public assistance, this is actually the intention of the framers of the 1987 Constitution. Now we entertain even petty complaints from the poor, the marginalized workers. So ngayon po, pinalalakas po namin ang aming public assistance unit, where we will be hiring on those who are in the other offices will be assigned to the public assistance unit to take care of the complaints from the public. On the matter of the enforcement of the decisions, we monitor that. Yung mga decision po namin, yung mga aming mga orders for preventive suspension, na-discover po namin na may mga agency ho na hindi po sinusunod yung aming order. We discovered this in one of the agencies na yung isang tao na preventively suspended ay hindi pala ini-implement ng kanilang personnel officer. So patuloy pong he was functioning as regional director until an item in one of the newspapers came out na itong regional director was still acting as regional director sa isang probinsya. On the matter of investigation, this is where mayroon akong tawag doon, mayroon akong scheduled appointment with the Supreme Court for us to discuss na intindihin nila yung pag-iimbestiga ng Ombudsman. madali yung maghusga because this is related to inordinate delay. Madali yung maghusga na sasabihin, bakit ang tagal nyo mag-imbestiga? Ba't iniabot kayo ng 2, 3 taon o 5 taon? Sa Department of Justice po, kahit anong kaso sa Department of Justice, kaya yung kaso niyan pertains to drugs, murder or homicide, ilan lang pong dokumento ang kailangan mo sa murder case? You only need about 3 or 4 documents. The rest is testimonial. In a drug case, ilan lang dokumento ang kailangan mo? Kung may buy-bust operation, yung findings ho ng chemist, yun lang po mga kailangan eh. But in the investigation of a violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, naghahagilap po kami ng dokumento sa mga various government agencies like the Commission on Audit. Ang nangyayari po, na nababalan po ang investigasyon namin kasi agad silang hingi ng extension of time na bigyan kami ng kopya nitong mga dokumento. Kahit na po yung mga kaso na nanggagaling sa Blue Ribbon Committees of both houses, i-verify po namin ito. At humingi sila, as usual, humingi uli yung mga ahensya ng extension of time to provide us these documents. Kung minsan may mga kaso na hindi pa tapos ang COA ng kanilang investigation, ng kanilang audit. So hinihintay po namin yung matapos ng COA yung audit at ang buong proseso. Not just yung audit ng auditor, pero yung proseso na umabot na hanggang sa NBank, sa commission, na yung audit po ay nadesisyonan ng commission. Okay lang po kung walang nakita. Pero mayroon po ako sanang gustong imungkahi sa Kongreso na kung pwede po ay alisin na sa special provisions o sa general provisions ng GAA yung pagpapublish ng Audit Observation Memorandum. Ito pong Audit Observation Memorandum ay nagkukos po ng gulo. Kasi sa pananaw po ng isang tao, pag nabasa niya na mayroong yung Audit Observation Memorandum sa isang 10 million project, ay mayroong kaunting aberya, ay sasabihin na kagad ng tao na itong government official ay kumikita doon sa 10 milyon na proyekto. Ang hindi lang pala na-submit ay resibo. So, I leave this to Congress na alisin natin ito kasi pag nag-file po ng kaso sa ombudsman, dinismiss namin ang kaso kasi wala naman. Anong sasabihin? Nalagyan na naman ng ombudsman. Eh, pag ganyan po, sana totoo po na may naglalagay sa ombudsman. Sana po totoo. But the problem is creating an innuendo that the ombudsman earned. At pag final ng ombudsman sa husgado, dinismiss din ng husgado dahil wala talagang ebidensya, tapos na yung audit, wala namang problema, eh kawawa naman din pati yung mga huwes na pagbibintangan na nalagyan. No, ito yung problema. So I appeal to Congress to please take this second look on this general provision in the General Appropriations Act. Marami pong salamat.
Mr. Chair, we will be welcoming all the recommendations of Ombudsman Martires. And of course, for my last concern, during the time of PRRD, there's a citizen hotline. It is prominently known as 888. Do we still have this mechanism, and how does it work with your public assistance program, Mr. Chair?
Your Honor, I am not, during the pandemic, kung mayroon concern tungkol sa ombudsman, nire-refer sa amin ang Office of the President and we immediately act on that. Sa ngayon po, sabi ko nga po kanina, we're trying to strengthen the Public Assistance Office, and I assure you that, lalo na sa Batangas, hindi na kailangan pumunta ng mga tao sa central office, sa Quezon City. We'll be putting up one in Batangas City, and 2 other areas in Batangas na medyo malayo puntahan ng tao. So it might be in the city of Batangas, in Lipa City, and probably one somewhere in Bawan. Marami pong salamat.
Mr. Chair, let me just express my utmost support to the Office of the Ombudsman, including its budget and all its possible increase. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ombudsman, for your ample accommodation.
Marami rin pong salamat.
Thank you, Representative Luistro. Talagang matindi ang memory ni Justice Martirez sa kanyang edad. Matindi, ano? Justice Martirez, kaya na binabanggit mo na yung mga Ilocano ang matitipid o Ilocana ho yung misis ko, pero Batanggenyo rin po pinanggalingan ko, mas matipid po mga Batanggenyo. Alright. Anyway, we go to the minority. I would like to ask Congressman Manuel, because the justice already made a repeated calls for you to submit a listing of the cases, no? So I hope that you would do that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I'd like now to call Assistant Minority Leader Marisa Magsino, a fellow Batangueña.
Yes. Magandang umaga po to our Ombudsman family, Ombudsman Martirez, and to our colleagues, to all our guests. This representation of the OFW party list would like to state our specific concern. Recently po, a major concern of our OFWs is the recurring offloading of OFWs at the point of departure caused by our immigration officers on suspicion of involvement in illegal recruitment and human trafficking. Unfortunately, the campaign has been tainted with confirmed cases of extortion activities perpetrated by the immigration officers in the guise of guideline implementation. In fact, in 2022, the Bureau of Immigration itself reported that out of the 32,000 cases of offloading, only 472 were found to be victims of human trafficking or illegal recruitment. Then there is also the problem of delayed release, tampered packages, and stolen items from our balikbayan boxes sent by our OFWs to their relatives in the country, especially during the Yuletide season, December na naman po, with the suspicion that some customs personnel may be anomalously involved. To address these issues, I have repeatedly called the attention of the officialdom of both agencies on this, with the recommendation to conduct investigations to uncover the truth, possibly identify guilty parties, and to pursue the cleansing and professionalization of their ranks. May I ask, Mr. Chair, in relation po to these concerns, from 2021 to the present, are there pending investigations conducted or cases filed by the Ombudsman against immigration and customs officers relative to alleged extortion activities, unexplained income in their SALNs, or subjected to lifestyle checks? Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for the question. Napakahirap yatang sagutin ang inyong tanong, pero pipilitin ko pong sagutin. Unahin ko po sa SALN. We all have that misconception na pag nagkamali ka ng declaration mo sa SALN, ay agad kang papatawan ng parusa. That is not true. The provisions itself of 6713 tells us that the filer has the chance to rectify whatever error there is. If you fail to declare in your SALN a particular property, you're not given the chance to correct your SALN. On the matter of filing of cases, maalala po ninyo na last year or this year, yung Pastillas case, where about more than 40 immigration officials and personnel were dismissed from the service. Sa ngayon po, hindi ko po masasabi anong aspeto ng gawain sa immigration ang aming iniimbestigahan. Because these are all confidential in nature. I assure you na yung mga nababasa namin sa dyaryo ay lihim namin iniimbestiga po. And these are still undocketed cases. We are gathering documents and testimonies from persons on these matters, on these concerns about human trafficking, yung nawawala yung mga packages, yung mga bagahe, ay tinitingnan po namin ito. Pero hindi ko po masasabi sa ngayon, alin po sa mga yon ang